Joining us here at the Middle Classholes is producer and on-air talent for 92.3 The Fan out of Cleveland, Mr. Dan Menningen. Dan, thank you for joining. This all started a year ago when the team vacated Chief Wahoo as their mascot. And then the timeline, not just with this franchise, but sports in their entirety. The Washington football team shreds the Redskins. Now, it turns out at the end of the 2021 season, correct me if I'm wrong, they will be losing the Indians' name. Did you see this coming, and what are thoughts going on in the greater Cleveland area?
So everybody pretty much saw this coming. The minute that Cleveland was awarded the All-Star game, we knew that all of this was around the corner. It was kind of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge deal a few years ago, saying, all right, you need to shy away from Chief Wahoo. You need to get away from that logo. And you knew the minute they started shying away from Chief Wahoo that the Indians team name itself was going to come next. This was something Major League Baseball was trying to get around for a while. They've been trying to get rid of Chief Wahoo for an extended period of time. And so this is just kind of the next step in that evolution. And around here, it really depends on who you talk to. There's, the younger generation is, some of them are heartbroken because we grew up, everybody grew up in the area saying it was the Cleveland Indians and all that stuff. But there's a younger generation too that's going like, all right, fine. It's a long time coming. It's offensive. It's not the best name that we can use. We could find something better that can better describe what we're attempting to accomplish by naming our team the Indians. There's a better way to go about this. And then there's an older generation who falls into the same category as the younger generation. And then there's an older generation that's coming back and going, well, this isn't offensive to anybody. I'm not offended by it. So why the hell should you be offended by it? It doesn't hurt my feelings. Why should it hurt your feelings? So get over it, you bunch of snowflakes. So it's kind of just that wavering back and forth that's currently taking place.
Now, I get getting rid of Chief Wahoo because the caricature of that particular style of Indian. Yeah, all right, I get it, especially in this era, especially. Now, did the Redskins kind of open the floodgates for this to really go down? Was it kind of maybe Cleveland was like, maybe all this will blow over? And then Washington, who is the holdout with probably the more racist name than what Cleveland's rocking with, they finally did away with theirs. Did that pretty much kind of put the Indians in a corner and say, all right, we have to do it now?
It definitely did. It was kind of the first domino to fall in a line of dominoes that we all knew were holding on. And the funny thing was Dan Snyder for so long being the giant asshole that guy is, and part of my French if I'm not supposed to curse on here.
Curse away.
Okay, perfect.
Giant fucking
so Dan
asshole.
Snyder, being the gargantuan asshole that he is, basically was like, well, if this jackass is going to fall, and if this jackass is going to get away from this name, then nobody else has an excuse on the planet because he's just a bag of crap. And we came to find out more and more as they did more investigation, he's a giant bag of shit. Not just a small bag of shit, a gargantuan bag of shit. So basically, when that happened, it put Paul Dolan, the owner of the Indians, in a position where it was like, this is going to have to happen. This is going to come because this is where the groundswell is coming back from again. That a lot of people are going, this name is racist. This name needs to go. You need to find something better because sports are meant to bring a bunch of people together, and they're currently dragging people apart with this argument. So it's been a long time coming, to put it lightly, and the wheels are definitely turning. The funny thing with it, guys, and I almost want your 2 cents out of this. The interesting part around here was the fact that the New York Times were the ones that broke the story. That it wasn't somebody who was local. It wasn't somebody who had been involved with the team in an extended period of time. It was the New York Times. And so I got a working theory, and I want to see if this makes sense to you guys. I think Major League Baseball shoved the Cleveland Indians. I think Major League Baseball got behind them and kind of went like, okay, you're dragging your feet too long. This needs to change quickly. We are going to the big boys. We are not allowing you to do this when you want to do it. We're going to the big boys, and we're making you do this. Because it's either we go to them or we go to the Associated Press. My theory is that the Indians were dragging their feet on it.
Okay.
And we're attempting to go as long as they can without having to do it. Because we know decently that they weren't like over the moon at the idea that they had to change the name. Paul Dolan had always very strongly supported the name until this moment. And the interesting thing that came out of it, again, I'm in conspiracy theory corner. This is one man's opinion, and I'm running it by you guys to find out if I've gone off the deep end. Conspiracy theory corner.
I will say this.
Yeah.
And that is that I think they might have dragged their feet because you've got almost 100 years of history attached to that name. Right. And I think with the way the political winds blow, that maybe this kind of woke movement kind of blows over, and then they get to dodge that bullet. But the fact that the New York Times breaks the story coming out of a major metropolitan city, a very liberal city, I think that once they start getting those wheels turning, I think Major League Baseball, maybe in one of their get ahead of the game kind of wise decisions, would be like, we don't want this sport to be political.
I live in Fairview Park, Ohio. I graduated from Fairview High School. When I was there, we were the Warriors. And it was a Native American thing. We had a guy in Native American headdress as our logo. We had a guy in Native American headdress as our mascot. It was a big thing there. And probably within the last 5 years, they had shifted away from that and have gone to more of a warrior, as in like a knight type thing, and like a little more medieval than going that other direction. So, and maybe you guys have run into the same thing in your area with local high schools, but I've seen that movement take place. So I wonder how far behind everything else is. Because if local high schools and that stuff are going, we got to get away from this, I assume the rest of it is not far.
And there's two neighboring high schools, the Havre Grace Warriors and the Northeast Indians. I haven't heard whether or not they've moved on. I think I would have heard about something like that, but it wouldn't shock me that maybe within the next 5 years they move on to something else.
Well, you say that, but this is Cecil County. It's like the red county in a blue state. So I don't really see it anywhere too soon.
Up there, I feel like they'll hold on to those as long as humanly possible.
Hell, you got a bunch of English Premier League stuff behind you. I mean, Everton is what, the Potters? I mean, seriously, who knew that?
They're the Toffees.
That's it. Yes. They're the Toffees. See, I'm already screwing it up. There's another one that's the Potters.
Yes, that's Stoke City.
Stoke City. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, I'm an EPL guy, and like I don't even half know those. So, does the nickname really mean as much as the city itself? And that's the real question that's going to boil down to it. And that's my personal opinion of the whole thing. You could call them the Cleveland Rainbow Unicorns. You could have a unicorn on the hat. You could have rainbows all over, and people would lose their damn minds until they made the playoffs. And there would be 60,000 people packed into that stadium going, unicorn, unicorn, just going absolutely nuts with the bases loaded.
Anything that you've heard on radio, anything that's been thrown around water cooler talk in the office, anything that's come to mind to you that's been like, damn, that sounds pretty cool.
So the one I always liked was Guardians. And the reason is we've got these two Guardian statues on a bridge that have been there forever. And they've been and they're pretty cool looking. And so a lot of people have pointed to that one, and I like that one. I'm an English Premier League guy. I'm a soccer guy. So Cleveland Baseball Club, perfect. Let's do it. Sounds like fun. Like Cleveland, BC, let's roll with it.
Dude, so it's truly like we're unique as Americans that we name our I've been over there a couple times in different parts. I've been in London, been in Manchester, been in Liverpool, and people are like, dude, why do you guys? Because I had a Ravens hat on. Like, why? Why is that? Mm-hmm. Like, we have the mascots. Everybody has their names. Like, Newcastle's the Magpies. So
that's
even
right. It is the Magpies.
But like
I remember looking at the back.
Yeah, nobody really uses them. The pundits use them every now and then, but that's not what you see on jerseys. That's not what you see on scarves. That's not what you see on anything. It's Newcastle because it's for the city. It's Newcastle United Football Club. Like, that's what it's really all about. Same with Everton, Liverpool, all of that. So, yeah, I'd say fuck it. Let's go that way.
And okay that's the one that a lot of people, that one divides people because of the whole, I think, the European side of it and that stuff. And you're just so used to it. So, as I said, the Guardians is one that I always liked. There have been a bunch that have been tossed. I mean, we've had tons of them. The one that I want them to stay away from is the obvious Cleveland one, which is to go with something rock and roll, something involving a guitar, the Rocker or something. We had a WNBA team here that was named the Rocker. So the Rockers is kind of taken, but a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, do the Rock Stars, do something like that. And it's like, folks, get away from the rock and roll stuff. We've done enough with it. It's been played. It's been beaten up. Yes. Alan Freed said the word rock and roll on the radio for the first time in our city. We have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame here. It's cool stuff, but like, shy away from it. Like, some people have liked, the joking one has been the walleyes because we have Lake Erie and it's filled with walleyes. So yeah, have fun with that one. there's been a lot of different stuff in that regard. Some people want to do something with the Sherwin-Williams' headquarters is here. So a lot of people want to point to that and say, oh, yeah, do something with them. And it's like, why are you going to pair with a business? Like, it's silly. So, I don't know. I mean, if that's the case, you're going to pair with a business. Just become the Cleveland Flows, and we'll be the most obnoxious people on the planet.
Whatever pool you have in the media up there, just.
Oh, and by the way, the twofer was there. Trust me. There's a reason.
Yeah, you guys, your new mascot will be a dancing tampon.
Exactly.
I would say
with a progressive logo right across it.
It's right.
You don't.
Anyway, Wes, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. You don't necessarily, because there would be no claim to the city. I just think it would be incredible, and I just think the merchandising would be through the roof. If you could pitch the Cleveland Ric Flairs, I just think that would be just off the charts. Woo! Chief Wah Woo would be the next thing.
I want a pitcher then to strut out to the mound with the robe on to the theme of 2001: A Space Odyssey, which I can never remember the actual name of, and just do the flare spin and then just drop the robe and have someone bring him a glove and pick up the robe. All right, I'm in. I have to be in. Ric Flair still. Anytime a home run is hit, I get the flare flop. The pitcher takes like 4 steps and then just.
Wow. The thing I was most angry with the Redskins about was that, okay, guys, here's the deal. We're dropping the name. And to me, they should have had a big silk banner just ready to, like a Lexus commercial, and rip that bad boy off with the brand new logo and the brand new name. Instead, they got mocked for 3 months, and they're lucky they're actually in the hunt as a losing team right now, or no one would care.
So there are 2 names that a lot of people are circling. One of them is the Cleveland Spiders. And that's due to the fact that they were the Spiders previously. And a lot of people have liked that. There is a mock logo that's been floating around of the Block C with 8 arms coming off of it to signify a spider, and it looks pretty cool. So that's one that a lot of people were pointing to. Another one that they're pointing to is the Cleveland Buckeyes. That's another one that a lot of people have seen before. There's ties to the city with that one. There was a team that was here before with that. So those are the 2 that a lot of people are kicking about as well, for exactly what you're talking about, where there's a tie to it, there's marketing to it, there's already stuff that's there. It just becomes a throwback type. Paul Dolan came out to Tom Withers of the Associated Press in an interview and basically said, look, we are going to be the Cleveland Indians until the end of 2021, in which case we will unveil the new name. So they're just basically like, look, we know this name is bad, we know the people don't like this name, but we're just going to keep freaking doing it until we come up with a better one. We're just going to be racist and anger people until we come up with a less racist name. Hurrah! Like, that's really been the mantra that they've had behind them. So we'll see. You know, it's going to be interesting to watch because they've shuffled their feet on this so badly. And not to mention, they're hacking the payroll down because the owner has come out and said that he's broke. So they're like in a PR sludge nightmare. Everybody hates their guts right now. And this is not helping the cause. And so part of the thought was that they would maybe roll something out a little bit faster because, hey, revenue. People would see the new name and immediately need to buy it. Well, they already came out and said, all right, not until 2021. And so one way that I can tell that they kind of were caught off guard is they sent out a press release and they misspelt Cleveland. Headline of the press release.
Sure.
It was Cleveland. And I immediately looked and went, oh, crap. They wrote this in a hurry, didn't they?
Wow.
So we'll see where this goes.
Does this have any negative effects on Major League or Major League 2 for years to come? Do you think, will those movies survive?
There are a group of people that want them to be the Cleveland Wild thing. And that's what I'm
that was my next one. That was my out.
Everybody's immediately like, no, Cleveland Wild Things, you get the logo from the movie, or you can take a baseball and just put the glasses on it with the skull and crossbones in the middle, and everything is awesome. Yeah, and so there's a chunk of people who want to do that one and just kind of lean into it. I mean, I don't think they're going to like tape over it and blur the logo or anything. But they haven't done it yet with Chief Wahoo. I can't see. I mean, they would probably spend more money than it costs to make the movie to blur the logos that would go around. So that's out the window. No, that movie's beloved around here. You can't go to a Cleveland baseball game around here. I got to reprogram my brain. You can't go to a Cleveland baseball game around here without seeing either the logo from that movie or somebody wearing a 99 Wild Thing jersey or a 99 Vaughn jersey. You can't go to a game without seeing it.
Murr looks like he's about to put out Joe Boo's cigar on my fucking face.
I was getting there because I let you go and I was just like, no, here it comes, the Wild Thing pitch. My final thought on this is this, though. I don't think it's been intrinsically racist to call them the Indians. I think it was just a reference that was used in a bygone era, and unfortunately it still existed to today and has a new connotation has been attached to that particular name. And the one thing I will kind of scream to all sports teams out there that do have some sort of representation of Native Americans is that I do fear that when we get rid of all of these mascots, that sort of part of history might be forgotten, because it's very rare that the country that wins then celebrates their enemy with something they love. We love sports. And it's very rare that when you've defeated someone that you then show them honor by saying, we're going to name our sports team after you. And I know that seems cheap and weird and maybe kind of low bar for an argument, but it is true. I mean, the Indians are respected. The Native Americans are respected as a fighting force, and we didn't completely wash them away from our history. And I don't know, it seems as though we were representing them in a way that was positive. And I feel like once we get rid of all these names, there's going to be some kids that may not even know that the Native Americans existed, because our education system is fighting from below at this point.
So I got an email 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, somewhere in it, that was saying something very similar. Where it's like, I like it because it's a representation of the people who were here before, and it helped people remember that. And it's more than just this, we just got done with Thanksgiving, this love story that took place of, this group of people come over and they all sit together and they have this wonderful meal and all of that kind of stuff. And it was a little bit more than that. And again, I can't speak to education systems and all that stuff. It sorely needs help. Teachers are underpaid, all of that kind of stuff. But if people are offended by it, it probably needs to go, because the whole goal of sports is to bring all of us together, and it's not meant to divide people. And so if people are going to take offense to what's taking place there, then at some point you need to look at it and go, all right, maybe this isn't the best we can do. Maybe we can figure out how to give the same exact connotation that we're trying with Indians, the fighting spirit, bravery, all of those different things, a different way and through a different name or medium or any way you want to do it. And I think that's really what this boils down to, because you would go to opening day every single year here, and there would be a group of Native Americans that would protest outside every single opening day, and they would do it sporadically through games around them. And you would get a bunch of people who would almost pick fights with them along the way. And it was one of those things where you would walk by and you would see this taking place of people yelling at these Native Americans who are protesting, and you'd go, dude, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? This is not getting anyone any closer to unity. This is not bringing us together. And if anything, it's just making things worse. And I wonder how much that plays into it, is that it's like, we need to bring people together. We can't divide them. So let's just take the giant fission right now of a group of people who are going to lose their minds over this, and know that 5 years from now, 6 years from now, they're not going to erase the name Indians from the record books. It's not going to go away. They're not going to hide. They're not going to hide the '97 World Series. They're not going to hide the '95 World Series appearances. They're not going to hide 42. They're not going to hide Bob Feller. They're not going to change the statues. They're not going to do any of those kind of things that are sitting outside of Progressive Field, to my knowledge. So there's still going to be a nod to the past that was there. It's not like the Indians are going to disappear forever. But this will at least bring people together instead of putting them in a weird position of dividing them. And I think that's what this all boils down to. I don't know.
I feel better about it. I feel better about it.
Well said. That's what, if I may, I think you just go with walleyes. It's harmless. Fish are underrepresented. You could slap them. You could slap them on a stick over an open fire and sell those as concessions. Profits, baby.
This works.
This is also the same man who suggested that the Redskins change their name to a Redskin potato. So you keep Redskins, You have a Redskin potato as your logo, and then the concessions are through the roof. You can
build your own baked potato. Cheeses, assorted cheeses, bacon bits, pancettas if you're fancy. Different sour creams, if you will. I think it's just a marketing gold mine, and that's really what I'm trying to say here, fellas.
Your talents are being wasted. I just want you to know that.